Hi guys, it's Wendy from Ask the Landlady, and today I'm talking timeshare because it's Friday, so I always talk timeshare on Friday on my YouTube channel. I hope you hit like and subscribe and you check out my book on Amazon, Never Buy Timeshare. So today I'm doing the big picture. I'm looking at where the timeshare industry actually sits in 2026, what the data actually, what the data actually shows, and why a booming industry can still be a terrible deal for your individual consumer. Okay, so let me give you the numbers from the industry's own data. Global vacation ownership is projected at around 20 to 24 billion in 2026, up from 19 billion in 2025. That's a growth rate of about 8%, so that's crazy. US timeshare sales volume reached 118,000 units in 2022 and is continuously growing. Occupancy rates at around about 80%. By any business metric, timeshare industry is healthy and expanding, right? Now here's the other set of numbers. The consumer picture is very, very different. Maintenance fees have increased 36% in 5 years, 36%. The average timeshare resale value is between zero and 15% of the purchase price. That might be for like Disney or something. Most of them are big fat zero. Exit is more difficult in 2026 than ever because the industry is growing and the contracts are being designed for maximum retention. There's been FTC enforcement actions against those exit scams out there. And so that's created a whole shutdown. Before, these timeshare exit companies were throwing all these timeshares into shell corporations, and they got the shutdown on that. So consumer complaints about these high pressure techniques and continuously is flooding in to state attorney general offices across the country. So even while it's crazy because, right, timeshare companies are making money, but the consumer complaints are right up there. So it's a very unique industry. The more we hate it, the more but it's still doing well, right? So here's what let's talk about why this growth is occurring here. There's a consolidation problem. The industry is consolidated dramatically. Industry surveys show that 511 of the 573 resort property studies belong to networks of 10 or more resorts, right? They've been consolidating like crazy. You've seen that. Maybe you had Sheridan, it turned to this, everything's like consolidating. This concentration means fewer independent options, less competition for consumers, and more standardized contracts that favor the developers, right? The more when we have less choice, it's like, I say this about landlords. Mom and pop landlords are always going to give you the best value and the best experience as a renter. If we're letting in these big conglomerates come in and buy, you're going to see your rents go up. You're going to see your contracts get stronger. You're going to see a lot of problems. As a consumer, it's going to be less good for you than having those independent operators. That's kind of what's happening with the timeshare industry too, because I know people in the past were like, we loved our timeshare, but then they got bought out by this and this happened, it's terrible. Yeah, that's what's happening because you have less leverage and they have more power. The big players can set those terms because there's nobody to compete against, right? So here's why the growth continues despite these problems. Here's the honest answer. Timeshare industry is really good at sales, like extraordinarily good at sales. Their presentation system converts a meaningful percentage of the people who sit through it, right? You might be one of those people that go in there and get your $200 and you walk out the door, but by and far, you are alone. More people are falling prey to this psychological warfare than ever. The industry spends so heavily on marketing, the free gifts, the discounted hotel stays, all the incentives, all the referrals, and they target people in vacation mode. Oh, you're drinking 4 margaritas? Come to a sales presentation. They pull in big speakers at these rallies. They really prep their timeshare people well, and it pays off for them. That's what they do. And don't feel bad if you got into this pressure. I've had some people recently write to me and say, I just feel sick to my stomach. I did this. I'm so mad at myself. No, don't, because they have spent so much money. They are extraordinarily good at it. Of course, you're going to make some mistakes. Of course, you were pressured into it. It's, you know, I would say it's like being waterboarded. I mean, you have been tortured into buying this. And so don't beat yourself up about it. Just get out as fast as you can, rescind it if you can, exit however you can, and chalk it up to a mistake and move on, right? Take the hit to the credit if you have to, and rebuild that money and invest it in duplex or invest it in the index fund and fund your vacations on your own terms without the timeshare industry. So don't beat yourself up over that, because that's what's happening. They're just really, really good at sales. So there is some growing regulatory interest in timeshare consumer protection. The FTC has been active. State attorney generals have been active looking at this. There's been some legal updates in 2025 for clear penalty structures in several states and stronger disclosure requirements. But the contracts themselves remain extremely difficult for consumers to exit once they've signed them. It's terrible, but that's just the way it is. So here's my bottom line here. A booming industry is not evidence that the product is good for the buyers, right? Let's look at Beanie Babies. Everybody thought they were a great thing too, right? Now they're worthless. So timeshares like that too. Just because everybody's doing it and everybody's buying it doesn't mean it's a good product. So tell yourself that. Don't jump on that bandwagon. It is not good for you ever, even though it's booming. That's just the evidence is clear. Get my book, you'll see it's not clear. Let's look at the tobacco industry. It's booming. Are cigarettes good for you? No. Payday lending, that's booming. Is that good for you to get those cash advances and pay those hefty fees? No. The question is not whether the industry makes money, because believe me, it clearly does. They're making billions in the timeshare industry. Question is whether it makes good on its promises to the people who buy them. Based on the data, consumer outcomes are not intersecting with their growth and their sales pitches. That's why Never Buy Timeshare exists. That's why I'm here, baby. Information is your protection. So thank you for following along on this little journey with me on timeshare and real estate and all things on Ask the Landlady. Hit subscribe, buy my book. I love having you here. Shoot me a comment. Would love to hear what you think about the timeshare industry in 2026 and what changes that you anticipate coming. Would love to hear from you. Thank you, and I hope you have a great Friday.